Hi, this is Matthew Robert Payne. You may not have seen me, pretty plain background. A lot of people were complaining about my face coming in and out on the Zoom platform, so I've steadied it, and it's not a great background. The key to my abundance, I thought I'd share it with you. It could, the title could change by the time I upload the title to The Secret of My Abundance. Do you know, since 2020, 2000, the year 2000, 22 years ago, I've been giving to the Lord roughly 30% of my income. And that's right, out of uh, out of my disability pension that I get from the government, and the money that I raise doing prophetic ministry services for people. I give roughly 30% of my income to the Lord. You may be surprised to hear this. I learned this from a person who was a real life apostle that I met. I've only met two in my life. And he said that the ancient Israelites, the Israelites that lived in Jesus' day, if you added up all the first fruit offering and the such and such tithe and this such and such giving and this offering and stuff, if you added up all the tithes and givings that the Jewish people did under the law, it added up to about 33% of their income. The accepted and understood tithe of 10% was far exceeded by all these offerings and things that the law required. So a Jew who was practicing the law in Jesus' day, like the Apostle Paul said in his writings, according to the law, perfect. A Jew in Jesus' day used to give 30% of their income to the Lord. So here's another way of looking at that the Lord has structured our society and economies in such a way that we can give 30% of our income to the Lord. I'm a person who hasn't been backwards when it comes to sharing my frailties and my faults and my sins. And for 39 years, I had an addiction to prostitutes. And 43 years, I had an addiction to pornography. Pornography wasn't really costing me money in the last 10 years, but that addiction to prostitutes spent a lot of my money. I spent a fortune. I could have bought a house with the amount of money I spent on prostitutes, but still, in the midst of my addiction to prostitutes, I was still giving 30% of my income to the Lord. One of the keys to giving and being a good giver is finding places to spend your money for the Lord, give money to the Lord where you enjoy giving it. And so one of the favorite places I invested my money was in my own ministry. And for 11 years, I'd been writing and self-publishing books. And in the past 7 years, I self-published at least one book a month, sometimes two and three books a month. And I spent over 150,000 Australian dollars over the course of the last 11 years self-publishing books. So my favorite place of sowing money was into my own ministry. So if you have a ministry, if you have a ministry that the Lord has raised up through you, that's a really good place to sow your personal income into your ministry. So rather than just the ministry supporting itself with the ministry's income, you can get money from your job or your personal finances and put that into the ministry. One of the keys I've found to being a good giver is finding ministries, finding places that do the work of the Lord that you're interested in. And I don't think that you can become a really successful giver of the Lord unless you find motivation, unless you find reasons to actually give. So the key, the secret to living in abundance is, for me, is giving. And I've been a person who's given, like I said, 30% of my income to the Lord. I've lived in such abundance that only a couple of times in the last 22 years have I needed to ask anyone for a loan for finances. And on a couple of occasions, I only needed $20 to tide me over for a couple of days with food because I'd spent the money on a prostitute and left myself short. And I don't have the issue with prostitutes anymore. The Lord was able to set me free, but they were the reasons why I actually had to loan $20. So I've lived a life of abundance where I've been able to not only live, not only spend $150,000 in the last 11 years publishing books, but I've always had spare money to give to ministries and support different works of the Lord. I've got a book called, I've got a friend who's got a book on giving, who I'll look up the book on giving by him, and so you can hear the name of the book. I realize that this isn't the secret that many people were looking for. Many people want other ways to walk in abundance, and I find personally it makes a lot of sense to me that if you walk in a lifestyle of obedience and giving, that the Lord will allow prosperity to work in your life. I was having problems finding. So anyway, I'm still trying to find Michael Van Vlymen's book. Yeah, it's called Supernatural Provision: Learning to Walk in Greater Levels of Stewardship and Responsibility and Letting Go of Unbiblical Beliefs. So Michael Van Vlymen teaches in his book that you've got to come away from the false teaching that teaches you to give to anointed ministries and give so that you can get back, and all the unbiblical teaching that exists around giving. And he points out what is the truth and what isn't the truth. But essentially he says the key to giving and prosperity in the kingdom is to give when the Holy Spirit says to give, and to give the amount that the Holy Spirit says to give. So the Holy Spirit has been prompting me in the last week to give to a charity that collects meals off restaurants and places of food, and they send drivers around to restaurants and collect spare food, and then deliver that spare food to homeless hostels and people that are feeding the homeless. And the Lord has I've seen their workers before, and worked in a homeless hostel when this company, Oz Harvest, used to deliver their food each day. And as a homeless hostel who supplies food for cheaply for the homeless, it was very beneficial getting this free food that they could use. They didn't pass on rotten food or bad food or food past its expiry date. They're just passing on good food that can be repurposed and used. So the Holy Spirit has been showing me for the last week to give finances, and this today I got my pension in my bank account, and so I went forth. Now, when it comes to giving, the Holy Spirit highlighted to me that He wanted me to give 50 Australian dollars, and so that's what I did. So one of the keys Michael says to live in prosperity in his book is to be directed by the Holy Spirit in who to give money to, and then ask the Holy Spirit how much to give. And I live by that principle and have been living by that principle ever since I read his book years ago. Andrew Womack, Wommack, has a book called Financial Stewardship, and that's a really good book on giving. So I've, like I shared with you, I've only needed to ask for a loan a couple of times. I'm not a person who's needed to ask for a loan for finances and been short of money for the last 22 years. And now that I'm free of my addiction, I've got actual money in the bank. And so it's a really key secret. Now, I know statistically wise, I've written 120 Christian non-fiction books on how to live the proper Christian life. And I know during the research and the writing of those books, I've written on giving. And I know statistically, there's a statistic that says only 5% of Christians in America tithe, give 10% of their income to the church. In other words, 95% of Christians in America aren't giving 10% of their income to the Lord. So I know that the subject of giving is a least favorite subject. I found another subject that Christians don't like, and that's the subject of evangelism. Christians don't like mention of the word evangelism because it makes them feel guilty, and they feel like they're not equipped. And Christians really hate the teaching of giving because so many people have asked them for money. And the truth of the matter is, and I'll be really clear with you, Jesus said you can't serve two masters. You can only serve God or mammon, or God or money. And 95% of Christians have chosen to serve money. And that's the truth of the matter. They say they honor Jesus with their lips. They put their hands up to praise and worship Jesus. But when it comes to their wallets, they refuse to. And I'm saying that not only is 10%, worthwhile and will give you, put you into a state of abundance, but I'm saying that 30% will put you there. That's the secret of abundance, is supplying God with finances, and God constantly puts it on the hearts of people to request prophecies of me, or sow finances into my ministry. The Holy Spirit and a specific angel called a finance angel puts it on the hearts of people to give my ministry finances and supply money. And when I get money supplied from my ministry, I donate that, and I put that into my ministry, and I use that for ministry purposes. So you can summarize, if you haven't picked it up already, that my secret to walking in the abundant life, the secret to me walking in the abundant life, is for me to be obedient to Christ, which I haven't mentioned, and for me to be sowing 30% of my income to the Lord. The Jewish people are very prosperous, and a modern Jew will give 10% of their income to the Lord. They'll give 10% of their income to charity. And so Jews can be very good with money, and so can Muslims be very charitable with their money. It just seems that Christians seem to preach God that they love and they admire and they respect and they sing praises to, but they don't financially support that God, and they've got no real interest in serving God. They only serve God with their words, and they're very hypocritical. So if you're not sowing 5% of your income to the Lord, if you're not sowing 10% of your income, or 20 or 30% of your income, I really encourage you to. There's a join button on this video, and you can press the join button and select $29.99 a month, and you can start sowing finances to this channel. Or I encourage you to find a ministry that you believe in. And many times the reason why you're not sowing so much finances to the Lord is very few people know that it's the key to abundance. One of the secrets to abundance is charity and giving out from yourself. And even motivational speakers and wealth experts will teach that you need to be giving, and giving to charity is one of the keys to success. So I encourage you to investigate and find out ways that you can give financially. I've been giving support for about 8 months to 2 Christian ministries, and sending them $50 a month, and I became a partner with 2 ministries, and I've had very notable things change. I had a promotion in my prophetic gift. My prophetic gift got better. I got the ability to interpret dreams. I had the ability to do deliverance. I got discerning of spirits. I got free of my 39-year addiction to prostitutes and 43-year addiction to pornography. I also was blessed with receiving a manifest presence of God, like the glory of God in my life, which makes it a whole lot easier for me to approach strangers and talk to strangers now, because there's a presence on me that makes the people feel safe. So those ministries really supplied me with partnering with those ministries totally revolutionized my life, and it was a really good. And if your friend requests me on Facebook and write me a message, or contact my website and write me an email and ask me for suggested ministries that you can send your finances to, I'll be happy to do that. You can go to my website, to my support page, and you can sign up and support me and partner with my ministry. At present, I'm not publishing books, but I'm making videos and being used to supply and make videos at the moment. So I hope this has been encouraging to you. It's not a prosperity gospel message. It's not a message saying sow to me and God will give you a 10-fold and 30-fold and 100-fold return. I really don't believe that prosperity message. I don't believe that actually happens to people. I believe in sowing and reaping, and the principle that if you sow seed, you'll get a harvest. And I believe if you sow finances into a good Christian company, it'll produce fruit and it'll produce a harvest. I believe that. But I don't believe the proper lie that they share with you, that if you share $100 with them, $1,000 will come back to you. I don't believe that you get a 10-fold or 30-fold or 60-fold or 100-fold return on your actual finances. I don't think that actually happens, but I do understand, and I walk in the secret of abundance, and that is to be giving of finances to the Lord. And another reason I give so much is because I have very little needs. I have no real lust of the flesh. I don't really lust after the things of the world. The things of the world don't really interest me. I don't go after the things of the world. The only real expense that I have in my life is a new computer every few years and maybe a TV every 5 or 6 years. But they're the only real expenses on things in the world that I spend my money on. A phone every few years. So I'm not in love with the things of the world, the possessions of the world and what the world considers successful. I'm not into. I don't pursue. It's not important to me. And another difference between me and most Christians is God is everything to me. My relationship with God and Jesus is everything to me. It's quite easy for me to empty my bank account and give it to a person that the Holy Spirit told me to give, and I've done that multiple times. So because God is my God, and I haven't got an idol of money, and I've come out of the world and my life is holy and I'm separated from the unclean thing, and because I live a sanctified holy life separated unto God as a true prophet of God, because my love affair is with God and not a love affair with the world. It's really easy for me to give. It's really easy for me to obey the leading of the Holy Spirit and give where the Holy Spirit tells me to give. Of course, you can't give according to the Holy Spirit's direction if you can't hear the Holy Spirit. And I have to admit that I'm in the 20% of Christians that can actually hear the Holy Spirit speak, and you may need some help in your giving and have to have like a prophet to ask questions of to get directions of the Holy Spirit otherwise. And I'd be quite open to you friend requesting me and ask me those sort of questions. I apologize that my secret to abundance is one that isn't popular and isn't heard. And statistically, I look at the statistics of my videos, and only 10% of people listen to them to the very end. And if you're one of that 10% and you've listened to this video to the end, I'd encourage you to start to sow today. Make a pledge to yourself that you're going to start at 10%, or be very bold and sign up for 15%. And I suggest you don't just give it as a once-off gift. If you go to my support page and sign up for a monthly donation, you can tick the box and say, make it a monthly donation on PayPal or your credit card. And I encourage you to do that. Sign up and partner, make it a monthly donation to a ministry, and that'll change the course of the ministry according to your finances. I hope that you were encouraged by this video and you learned something. If you're happy with this video and you want to help me with YouTube and algorithms, you can tick the box like. If you've got any comments that you want to make on this video, I read all my comments, and I'd be encouraged to read your comment and reply to your comment. If this is the first video that you've seen from me and you want to see other videos of me, I encourage you to subscribe. And there's a button on my YouTube that says join, and you can join at a small amount per month, or you can join at $29.99 a month. I'd encourage you to do that. God bless you, and I pray that you will put into practice everything that I mentioned. I encourage you to look for Michael Van Vlymen's book that I mentioned, and look for Andrew Wommack's book that I mentioned. And I pray that you put into practice the things that I've shared in this video, and you too may start to walk in abundance in your own life. God bless.